Hello, friends. If you are 60 or older and your retirement income is covering Medicare, prescriptions, groceries, and utilities every month, there are government programs right now that could be putting money back into your household, and according to the National Council on Aging, 9 million seniors who qualify are not enrolled. For some of you, the first two programs alone are worth more than $40,000 over the next 5 years. The problem is not that these programs do not exist. The problem is that they sit in 5 different offices, and almost none of the people who need them get walked from one door to the next. None of it starts automatically. Today, I am walking you through every single one. Hello, friends. Here is what we are doing today. I have 5 separate programs, 5 different agencies, 5 different applications, and each one can either cut a bill you are already paying, put food in your kitchen, or in one case, put actual earned income back into your household. Not all 5 will apply to every person watching this, and I will be honest about that on each one, but at least one of these is yours, and you are almost certainly not using it. Grab a pen and a piece of paper and mark the ones that fit, because by the end of this you will have the form, the phone number, and the exact words to say. Before we go any further, the income limits I am going to give you today, the premium figures, the eligibility thresholds, all of it moves every single year. Agencies do not send you a notice when the number changes in your favor. The people subscribed to this channel find out when it matters, before the money slips away. Subscribe now and let's get into it. Now I need to say something before we hit the list, because every time I cover programs like these, the same thing happens. People sort themselves into one of 2 groups, and both groups leave for the wrong reason. The first group is comfortable. You have some savings, maybe a paid-off home, and you hear the words government benefit, and you think, that is for people in worse shape than I am. The second group is on a fixed income, counting every dollar that comes in, and you have learned the hard way that the good programs always seem to be for somebody else. Both of those assumptions are wrong about at least one item on this list, and on every single one, I am going to tell you exactly which group it helps most and why. Some of these stop a deduction from your check, some cut a bill, some put food on the table, and the last one, stay with me, is the only item here that can put an actual paycheck back into the house, and the number of slots is not unlimited. Let's start. Number 1, the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary Program, QMB for short. Here is what most people believe. They see that Part B premium being deducted from their Social Security check every month, and they assume that is just the cost of having Medicare. It came out automatically, so it must be correct, and it must be permanent. That assumption is costing some of you over $200 a month. QMB is one tier of what Medicare calls a Medicare Savings Program, and here's what it does in plain English. If you qualify, it pays your Part B premium for you. Not a portion of it, the full thing. In 2026, that standard Part B premium is $202.90 per month. QMB can eliminate that entirely. But it does not stop there. QMB also blocks providers from billing you for Medicare-covered deductibles, coinsurance, and copayments. So the premium stops, and a large share of the cost sharing stops with it. Now here's who this helps most, and it is the fixed income group. If your Social Security check is already stretched across rent, groceries, prescriptions, and at least one surprise bill every month, this is the single cleanest relief on this list. The 2026 income limit for QMB is $1,350 per month for an individual and $1,824 per month for a married couple in most states. The resource limit is $9,950 individual, $14,910 married couple. And here is what a lot of people do not realize. Some states use more generous rules than the federal floor, so you may qualify even if you think you are a little over. Let me do the math on the premium alone. That is $202.90 every single month. Over a full year, that is $2,434.80. Over 5 years, that is $12,174, and that is before we even count the deductibles and copays QMB can block. And there is a bonus most people miss entirely. If you are approved for QMB, you also get extra help with Part D, that is prescription drug cost relief. And in 2026, your covered drugs cost no more than $12.65 each. A woman I heard from described almost this exact situation. Margaret, 72, outside Louisville, Kentucky, retired librarian. Her Social Security check was carrying the standard Part B deduction every month, and she was still getting asked for Medicare cost sharing every time she went in for care. She applied through her state for a Medicare savings program and was approved at the QMB level. That was $202.90 more in her check every single month, $2,434.80 a year, before counting the blocked copays and deductibles. None of that was automatic. Margaret's state did not call her. Nobody enrolled her. The deduction kept coming out of her check until she applied. Here's the action step. Go to medicare.gov/basics/costs/help/medicare-savings-programs. You will see a link to contact your state Medicaid or Medicare Savings Program office. Use the exact words, "I want to apply for a Medicare Savings Program," and be screened for QMB first. You can also call 1-800-MEDICARE, that is 1-800-633-4227, and ask them to help you find your state contact. There is no national deadline. You can apply anytime. But every month you wait is another $202.90 gone. That is number one. If that one cuts the medical bill, the next one cuts the pharmacy bill. And a lot of people who miss the first one still qualify for this. Number two, Medicare Part D Extra Help, also called the low-income subsidy. Here is the misconception. Most people think prescription help through Medicare is only for people on Medicaid or for people with almost nothing in the bank. That is not true, and the income and resource limits are higher than you probably think. Extra Help is a subsidy that cuts your drug plan premium, your deductible, and your copays. In some cases, it wipes them out entirely. If you qualify, you can be enrolled in a Part D plan with a $0 premium and a $0 deductible, as long as the plan fits the subsidy structure. Choose a more expensive plan, and you may still pay something extra, but the relief is real, and it is substantial. Here is who this helps most. Both groups. The income limits for 2026 are $23,940 per year for an individual and $32,460 per year for a married couple. And here's the part that surprises people. When they count your resources, they do not count your home, your personal belongings, one car, burial plots, or certain burial savings. The resource limits are $18,090 individual and $36,100 married couple, and that is after the exclusions. So a person with a paid-off house and a car in the driveway can still qualify. Now let me give you the dollar figure. The Social Security Administration estimates the average value of extra help at about $5,700 per year. That is about $475 a month in prescription drug relief. Over 5 years, that is $28,500. Here is something I need to be careful about. I am not going to tell you that none of these programs auto-enroll, because that is not completely true for this one. Medicare's own fact sheet says some people may qualify automatically, and if you are already in QMB or another Medicare savings program, you get extra help as part of that. But many people who qualify are not in any of those categories, and for them, nobody is filing anything on their behalf. The only way to know is to apply. The action step. Go to ssa.gov/extrahelp or call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213. You can also fill out Form SSA-1020. That is the paper application for extra help with Medicare prescription drug costs. Use the exact words, "I want to apply for extra help with my Medicare drug costs." There is no national deadline. You can apply anytime. That is number 2. So far, this has all been Medicare money. The next program has nothing to do with your plan card, and that is exactly why it stays invisible. Now, everything I have covered so far is about lowering what Medicare takes from you each month. This next one is different, and I need you to hear it carefully, because the savings here do not show up on a statement. They show up in the walls of your house, and they stay there long after the paperwork is done. Number 3, the Weatherization Assistance Program, WAP. Here is the misconception. Most people think home energy assistance is either a rebate for younger families doing renovations or a program that only helps renters. Both of those assumptions are wrong. WAP is a federal program run through the Department of Energy. It pays for energy efficiency upgrades, insulation, ceiling, safety-related work in qualifying homes. Both homeowners and renters can apply. If you are a renter, the landlord has to give permission before work begins, but you are still eligible. And here is the line that matters for this audience. The Department of Energy gives priority to the elderly, people with disabilities, families with children, high energy users, and households with a high energy burden. Here is who this helps most, and this is where the comfortable group needs to pay attention. You might own your home outright. You might not think of yourself as someone who qualifies for a government program, but if your income is low enough under your state's rules, you are eligible, and being elderly puts you at the front of the line. The federal guideline is households at or below 200% of the poverty income guidelines, or households receiving SSI. States can also use a different measure, 60% of state median income, so the threshold varies. Consider a retiree named Sharon, 74, Muncie, Indiana, retired seamstress. She owned her home outright but could not keep the winter heating bill down because the house leaked heat through every crack and seam. She contacted her state weatherization network and got onto the local provider list. Using the Department of Energy's program average, the relief comes to about $31 a month, or $372 a year in energy savings, and the work stays in the house. 10 years of that is $3,720, and DOE says those savings stay locked in. Here is the action step. Go to energy.gov/cmei/wap/how-apply-weatherization-assistance. You will find a map to your state administrator and local weatherization provider. Use the exact words, "I want to apply for weatherization assistance," and check whether my household qualifies under your state rules. There is no national deadline, but here is the real urgency. Eligible applicants are placed on a wait list, and every season you wait is another season of utility bills you could have reduced. That is number 3. Now let me show you the version of relief that does not show up in your mailbox as a check at all. It shows up in the kitchen. Number 4. The Commodity Supplemental Food Program, CSFP. Most people have never heard this name, and even the ones who have heard of it think of it as charity, a church pantry, a donation box, something separate from the federal system. It is not. CSFP is a USDA program funded at the federal level, administered by state and local agencies, and it exists specifically for one group, low-income adults age 60 and older. If you qualify, you receive a monthly package of USDA foods. We are talking about shelf-stable proteins, grains, canned fruits and vegetables, dairy, real groceries, delivered on a regular schedule through a local pickup site. According to Feeding America, the average retail value of that monthly package is about $50. That is roughly $600 a year in grocery relief. Over 5 years, that is $3,000 worth of food you did not have to stretch your budget to cover. Now, I want to be honest about that number. The $50 figure is a retail value estimate from Feeding America, not a cash payment from USDA. You are not getting a check. You are getting food. But if your grocery bill is one of the bills that keeps growing while your income stays flat, this matters. Here is who this helps most: the fixed income group directly. If you are 60 or older and your household income is at or below 130% of the federal poverty level, you likely qualify. In 2026, for a one-person household in most states, that means $20,748 per year, or $1,729 per month. For a two-person household, it is $28,132 per year, or $2,345 per month. Here is something you need to know about how this works on the ground. Each local agency has a set number of slots, a caseload. If applications exceed that caseload, the agency is required to maintain a waiting list. They are also required to notify you within 10 days of your application whether you are eligible, ineligible, or placed on that waiting list. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you are either receiving food or in line to receive it. Nobody is going to knock on your door and offer you this box. The food does not appear because your pantry is thin. You have to ask. Here is the action step. Go to the USDA's CSFP State and Local Agency directory. Search USDA CSFP State Local Agency, and the page will come up. Call your local agency and use the exact words. "I want to apply for the Senior Food Box program in my county. Do you have open caseload, a waiting list, or a pickup site near me?" There is no national deadline. The urgency is the caseload cap and the wait list. That is number 4. And that brings me to the last one, the only item on this list that can put earned income back into the household, but only while a slot is open. Number 5. The Senior Community Service Employment Program, SCSEP. Here is the misconception I hear constantly. People assume that once you pass a certain age, there is no work program left for you. The government training programs, the subsidized job placements, those are for younger workers, for people starting over in their 30s or 40s. That is wrong. SCSEP exists specifically for older adults, and it is run by the United States Department of Labor. Here is what it is in plain English. SCSEP is a subsidized part-time work and training program for unemployed, low-income older adults. If you qualify, you are placed in a community service position. Think libraries, schools, senior centers, nonprofits, and you work an average of 20 hours per week. You are paid the highest of the federal, state, or local minimum wage. And while you are working, you are also receiving training that can help you move into regular employment if that is what you want. Here is who qualifies. You must be 55 or older, unemployed, and your family income must be no more than 125% of the federal poverty level. In 2026, that is $19,950 per year for one person and $27,050 per year for two people. Here is who this helps most: the fixed income group, and specifically the part of that group that still wants to work but has been told, directly or indirectly, that nobody is hiring them. This is not volunteer work. This is paid hours. Let me do the math. At the federal minimum wage floor, which is $7.25 per hour, 20 hours a week at that rate is $145 per week. That comes to about $628 a month and $7,540 over a full year. In many states, the actual wage is higher because the state or local minimum wage is above the federal floor. That is real income, not a benefit check, not a subsidy, but a paycheck for work you are doing in your own community. Now here's the part that makes this one urgent. SCSEP runs on a program year from July 1st through June 30th. The total number of authorized positions for the current program year is about 39,215 across the entire country, split between state grantees and national nonprofit sponsors. That is not a large number. When those slots are filled in your area, they are filled. There is no waitlist guarantee the way CSFP works. The positions are capped, and local openings can disappear. Here is the action step. Go to Career One Stop's Older Worker Program Finder. Search Career One Stop Older Worker, and you will find it. You can also visit your local American Job Center or call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That is 1-877-872-5627. Use the exact words, "I'm over 55, unemployed, and I want to know whether there is a SCSEP older worker position open near me." There is no single national filing deadline, but the positions are capped by local opening and program year funding, so the day you call is better than the day you wait. That is number 5. So here is the full picture: the Part B premium and the cost sharing that QMB can wipe out. One application through your state, and in 2026, that premium alone is $202.90 a month. The prescription drug costs that Extra Help can cut by thousands a year, one form, SSA-1020, or an online application at ssa.gov/extrahelp. The home energy savings that Weatherization Assistance can lock into the walls of your house, one call to your state weatherization administrator. The monthly USDA food box that can take pressure off the grocery bill, one call to your local CSFP agency to ask whether there is open caseload. And the older worker program that can turn 20 hours a week into real earned income again, one search on Career One Stop or one call to 1-877-US2-JOBS. 5 programs, 5 different agencies, 5 separate applications. And here is what ties every single one of them together. The state Medicaid office does not enroll you in QMB because you turned 65. Social Security does not assume you want extra help unless you file or already sit in another qualifying category. The weatherization crew does not knock on your door because your furnace bill is high. The food box does not appear because your pantry is thin. The older worker position does not hold itself open until you feel ready. Being legally entitled to relief and actually receiving it are two completely different things. The gap between them is information, and that is exactly why I do this. Now I am going to ask you to do one thing. Think of one person, a parent, a widowed neighbor, a friend from church who is over 60 and says they are getting by. Not because they are doing poorly, because there is a very good chance they are paying at least one of these costs right now, every single month, for no reason other than nobody showed them the right door. Send them this video. That one share could be worth thousands of dollars to someone who will never find this on their own. Subscribe. Share this with someone you know who is over 60 and stretching every check, and I'll see you in the next one.